Once again, I've got 9 different strategies for you. The first and the last are just random. All the rest of the middle ones are food related, so I guess there's a theme this month. So as always, we start with the one that saved me the least amount of money and work our way up to the really big juicy one. So the first one is I did not buy a lottery ticket. Now, I've got comments complaining about this type of thing before. They say, Hillary, you could just say, I didn't buy a yacht, I didn't buy a trip to the moon, and then say you saved all this money. Well, here's why I'm including this one. First of all, because it's an actual impulse I had this month. Second of all, because it used to be a thing I would purchase before I became frugal. And third, because it is a thing that a lot of Americans buy. So if something has these 3 characteristics, I'm going to include it in my How I Saved Money This Month series. Okay. So lottery tickets, yes, before I was frugal, I did buy some lottery tickets. So I can very distinctly remember the day before I went back to work from maternity leave, I went and I bought a lottery ticket because I so didn't want to leave my daughter and I wanted to just win the lottery and not have to go to work and I could stay home with her. And big surprise, I didn't win the lottery. But I also did a little bit of research. Americans spent $108 billion on lottery tickets last year. That's a lot of money. It's a super common vice people have, especially because they don't usually think of it as a vice. And so how do I combat the urge to buy lottery tickets? Usually by remembering all the times I didn't win. But of course, that is how this cognitive bias happens. If you remember all the times you did win and you hold on to those memories, you're probably going to be much more likely to buy the lottery tickets in the future because you remember the wins. So I try to hold on to the losses to keep me from spending money when, like, what is the statistic? Like, you're much more likely to be struck by lightning while dancing a jig on top of the Eiffel Tower than you are to win the lottery, something like that. That's probably not true. And so I don't know about any of you, but I got this temptation when I heard that some lottery, is it the Mega Millions or the Powerball? I forget. One of the big ones hit like a really big high number. And I was like, ooh, maybe I could play, maybe I could win. I still have that temptation. And I still have to fight that because it's a dumb way to spend your money. What did my dad call it? Voluntary taxation. So I saved $2 because I did not buy a Mega Millions or a Powerball or whatever it was lottery ticket. Second way I saved is it was the day before Easter, and I bought a bunch of white eggs because we wanted to dye them, but I didn't buy an egg dyeing kit. So I went online and it turns out that I had some onion skins and blueberries and tea. I tried a couple different like all natural dyes for our Easter eggs. 2 of them worked really well. The blueberries came out awesome and the onion skins came out awesome. Spinach. The spinach and the tea did not really color the eggs super well, so I had to give a couple drops of the food coloring that I usually use for like making cupcakes. That worked too, surprisingly, because I boiled up the vinegar. I'll leave a link in the description if you want to see like the little recipe I followed for how to dye the eggs, but it was like I had to boil the vinegar and the water and the dyeable agent for 30 minutes, and then I let it cool, and then we just dunked the eggs in and let them hang out for a while. And especially the blue ones, we just kind of rolled them every couple minutes, so they got this weird like cascade pattern, like all of the shades blended into each other. It was super cool. So that half a cup of blueberries has value, but I didn't spend any money. So I used stuff I had lying around the house, and we got some really cool dyed Easter eggs, and my kids have been having a lot of fun practicing how to peel them. Looked like Easter egg dyeing kits cost about $3. I probably could have found one at the dollar store for $1, but I don't know if I would have been able to make 2 dozen eggs, which is what I was able to dye, so I'm gonna say I saved $3. And speaking of doing my Easter eggs, I tried a boil the eggs to get hard-boiled eggs in the Instant Pot method this time, and I was all set to do it, and then I realized the instructions said you needed an Instant Pot trivet for the bottom so that the eggs weren't actually directly touching the bottom of the Instant Pot. So I don't have one of those. I, like many of you, probably inherited my Instant Pot from someone who didn't want theirs anymore. And so it didn't come with the trivet. So I looked online, and it turns out you can just use a bunch of stainless steel canning lids, not the lids, seals, the seals around the side. So if you can I just used a bunch of the circular stainless steel canning seal lid bits, and I put them all the way around and made a little nice pattern. And then I put my eggs on top of those so none of the eggs were touching the bottom, and it worked just fine. And so when I went on Amazon, Instant Pot trivets cost about $10. So that is what I saved because I don't use my Instant Pot very much anyway, and I certainly don't use trivets I've never needed to use one before now, so it's not something I think I need to buy to have in my arsenal, especially if I can just make a little trivet with a bunch of like these circle canning lid things. Someone tell me in the comments what they're really called. It's gonna drive me crazy. Number 4, about a year ago, I posted this video because I had a baby, and so now we had to have a birthday party for said baby, and we made cupcakes. When I went to the store and I was looking at what cakes cost now, a 1/4 sheet cake costs $30, which just boggles my mind. And so we made 24 cupcakes, which was way more than we needed, by the way. We were eating cupcakes for days. I got a box mix for $1, which I think I showed in a previous video, and then I bought some store-bought frosting, and so I spent $4. I would have had to spend $30, so I saved $26 by making our own cupcakes. And I'm not going to show a picture because I don't show my kid's face on this YouTube channel, but we did have a smash cake, and there was chocolate head to toe. I had to just pick them up from the high chair and just put them directly into the tub. 5. I got a comment about a lady who was having the same problem as me a couple days ago. It was the end of March and I was so tired, and I just looked at my meal plan and I said, I do not have the energy to make tacos or whatever it was. I cook pretty simple meals and I still didn't even have the energy for my simple meals. And so I definitely thought about takeout. I definitely thought, ooh, you know what? Pizza. Chow mein. But I was like, you know what? I can come up with something even if I have zero energy. And so there were 2 things that made that possible. One is I have a good husband. And when he came home from work and I said, I got most of dinner ready, but it's just the pasta. I don't know, I don't have any energy for anything else. He said, okay. And so he went to our basement freezer and found we had a loaf of bread in there, and he sliced it up and he made garlic bread. But the second thing we did is we decided if we were already feeling pretty low, we needed a little bit of novelty in our lives. So we took the pasta and we just put it directly on the table. No plates. And you know, my kids loved that. Big kids and the grown-ups, we were all just eating with our hands, pasta right on the table. We'd heard of other people who did this as a tradition in March, and we're like, you know what? That sounds good. So you don't need my permission, but if you'd like it anyway, this is permission for you to just do weird things that feed your family and maybe puts a smile on their face. Because dinner doesn't have to be perfect or beautiful. You just gotta feed people. And sometimes it's gonna look weird, especially with kids. If I had leaned into that impulse I had to get some takeout, probably the bare minimum I could have spent for my family of 5 is like $40. If that was like McDonald's, even if we used the coupons. And so I'll say we saved 40 bucks by just getting a little creative and tag teaming dinner. Ooh, I can probably show this one. This is the beginnings of my homemade vanilla extract. We have been wanting to try real vanilla extract because we've heard it tastes really good. And we also thought that it would make a really cool gift to people around Christmas time, at least that's what I'm thinking. So we got some vanilla beans from Amazon in February, which is when I thought I was gonna share this tip, but I got distracted and forgot about it. So now it's a March tip. But yeah, so it was just buying some of the vanilla beans from Amazon, and we already had a giant thing of vodka that we've been using for other various projects, and it's been years and we haven't been able to finish it off. And so we used about 2 cups of the vodka and used the vanilla beans that we bought, and now I have to shake it every so often and just leave it up in a cool, dry, dark place for a few months. And then I think in September I'll just be able to take them out and take the beans out and then strain it, and then I can give it to people in these like cool little bottles. If I were to buy pure vanilla extract at the store, $203 per quart. I made a pint, so it would be $101 saved. However, I think it's still worth mentioning that you can buy imitation extract for $3 about. If I needed things for a recipe and I had nothing else, I'm not going to go to the store and buy a giant quart of pure vanilla extract. I'm gonna go buy the imitation stuff like I've done for the last 30-something years. But because this is something I'm hoping to like give to people as a gift, and because it's a kind of a fun project, I thought it was worth spending the $11.69 on the vanilla beans and using, we already had the vodka at the house, but it was $8.11 worth of the vodka. So we spent a total of $19.80 and it would have cost for the same pure vanilla extract $101, so we technically saved $81.70. You be the judge. Does this count as saving money, or is it Hillary spent $20 on a project? You tell me. Oh, whoops, I did things slightly out of order, but that's okay because the next two are very related. So the month of March is the month when I'm doing a lot of my prepping for my garden, including trying to think of the different ways I'm going to add nutrients into my soil so I have really, really nice, good plants growing. And if you want to know more about gardening stuff, I just posted a video about that last week. You can go check that out at the end of the video. I was looking for some compost, and when I was on Marketplace, it turns out that there's a goat farm near me who has a like honor system goat manure pile right in front of their house. They're like, yep, just come, fill up your buckets, drop some dollars into the little like lockbox, and there you go. So I went and I got like 150 pounds of goat manure. I had a hard time finding out what goat manure would cost to compare because apparently it's not something that people sell very often, but from ChatGPT's knowledge, it's probably worth about $45, and I spent $15 plus $1.50 in gas to get there, so all told, let's say I saved $28.50 on compost for my garden, where I grow my food. I don't grow flowers really, I grow food. So I'm counting this as a food-related tip. I am not sure if I'm going to be able to get a video of this because there's a blizzard outside. We're going to get like 1.5 feet of snow in April. But I'll try to put a video right here of me getting my mushroom logs. I have been wanting mushroom logs. I have been wanting them so long. Mushrooms are my favorite food. When I worked in a restaurant, I told people that like if I were on death row and I had one meal I wanted left, it would be mushrooms with seafood stuffing. But the mushrooms are the favorite part for me. So I found a guy also on Marketplace who is selling mushroom logs. So you can like grow your own mushrooms, like they're inoculated with the mycelium, and I'm gonna have my own shiitake mushrooms. To buy these 4 logs, I spent $30 plus 75 cents in gas. But shiitake mushrooms in the grocery store can go for $20 a pound. If all goes well, I should be able to get about 12 pounds of mushrooms from the logs that I purchased over the course of a few years. If these logs do as expected, I should be able to get a savings of $209 on mushrooms over the next few years. And if they don't grow as expected, the man I bought them from said he would be perfectly happy to refund me my money or give me new logs because he's looking to build up, I think, like a base of people who want to buy mushroom logs. And he also like invited me to the group of people who go like foraging for mushrooms wildly around here. So now I'm gonna know even more ways to get mushrooms, and all of my dreams are coming true. And lastly, because you might have noticed that all of these things have not added up to the big number I put on the thumbnail. You might remember one of the first videos I did in this series, the biggest surprise at the end was that I had bought a camera that was worth $1,200 and I bought it at a yard sale for $100. Turned out the camera was a nice camera, but not great for YouTube. There's like just a couple features there that it didn't have. And so I wanted to share a few of the strategies that I've been practicing when I sell things on Marketplace, because I think I'm onto something and I'd like to just share with other people who are, trying to sell their junk in their house to get more money to help pay off debt or pad their savings or whatever your financial goals are. So I started by looking on eBay and looking to see how much is this particular type of camera selling for on eBay in relatively the same condition. And they were all going for around $400, up to $500, $600, or even down to $300, but really no lower than $300. So that was my target range. The next thing I decided on is how low I was willing to go. And I thought for myself, I think $300 is really my bare minimum. I want to make at least $300 on this sale. So once I knew that, I took that number $300 and I immediately doubled it to $600. And then I tacked on an additional $200 because oftentimes, especially with big ticket items on Marketplace, people are going to go back and forth with you on the price. They're like, oh, well, you take this, and they'll lowball you like a crazy low number to see how desperate you are to sell your thing, and maybe they can get a big steal. So I added in that expectation that there would be back and forth downward negotiation, which ended up at the number $800. And so when I made my Facebook Marketplace listing, the first thing I did is I put the price in at $800 when I initially made the post. Because Marketplace, if you're on it right now, you notice this, but Marketplace shows the initial price someone posted something as, and then if they have come down on that price, there will be a slashed line through it and then show the current price. And so my thought was that if I can show that, wow, I originally was selling this for $800 and now I'm selling it for way less, people would all of a sudden just assume it was a steal and a fabulous deal and they'd be willing to pay for it. So that's what I did. I put it at $800, and just in case someone decided to buy it at $800, I'm not going to say no to a couple extra $100, right? And then the next day I went to $700 and to $600 and $500. And then I put it at $400. But price isn't the whole story, is it? So the other thing that I have learned in marketing is that people like the idea of a bundle. Which is why when you go to the toy section of a toy store, you don't just see a single Barbie for sale. You see the Barbie with the tiny plastic dog and her little accessories like her purse and her hairbrush or something, because now it looks like it's more valuable because there's multiple pieces. Or you go to the store to buy a pot or a pan and they're trying to sell you cookware sets at a really good price because it's a bundle. And people just are, I don't know, psychologically, we must be programmed to think that more is better or more is a better deal. When I was making this Marketplace listing, I really wanted to make it look like there was a bundle. And so I took the lens off because there was like a separate lens, and I took a picture with the camera and the lens and the charger and the strap. It's really not that fancy compared to what you would just buy on Amazon, except, I mean, there was a slightly fancier lens. But the charger and the strap come with it anyway if you buy it on Amazon, but I called it a DSLR bundle. And I think that really helped. It got tons of clicks, tons of people asking me about it. What else did I do that I really feel like helped the listing? A really good picture. Like a really good picture, and you think, oh, well, if someone really wants this, then they'll have to come see it. No, no one's going to come see it. People's time is valuable, and if you don't have really good pictures, maybe someone will want it, but you're going to wait like a year. So take the best quality pictures you can and be thoughtful with the way you describe your object. If there is a slight scratch somewhere on your object, you don't have to say that in the listing. As long as the picture shows the scratch, you don't have to say, oh, it has this flaw, it has this flaw. No, you want to make this sound like an awesome thing. So when I was making my description, I threw in the fact that this used to belong to a wedding photographer, because it did. That's what, when I bought this at the yard sale, the lady told me she used to be a wedding photographer and this was what she used to shoot weddings. And so I added that in the description, and I said that it was worth $1,200 if you bought it new on Amazon. So now they're thinking, man, not only did she want $800 and now she's taking $400, but if I wanted it new, it would be $1,200. This seems like an amazing deal. You have to think like a salesperson if you want to get the best possible deals you can on Marketplace. So all told, what was the final price that I sold the camera at? Well, so I had a lady message me, she asked me a bunch of specifications, and once we'd gone back and forth and she seemed really interested, she asked, is your price of $400 firm? And this is when I'm like, yes, I'm so glad that I added that buffer so that I could negotiate down to $300. And so I said, well, I think probably the lowest I could do is $350, expecting that there might still be something she says to make me want to go down to $300, my target price. But she immediately typed back, nope, I'm happy to take that at $350, sounds good. And so that's what it is. So $100, $200, $350 for my camera that I bought for $100. So I saved $250. So this is going in the bank tomorrow. I want to know how you guys saved money this month. I'm always inspired by the little stories you tell me in the comments. If you're new here and you've never seen any of the videos in this series of how I save money in a month, I will leave the link to the playlist up here and you can click it now. Okay. Bye, YouTube.